You are now listening to the Serious Growth Podcast with your host, Leo Costa Jr.
Serious Growthers, welcome one, welcome all. Silverbackers, old-time serious growthers that aren't serious silverbackers yet. I welcome all of you, men, women. Welcome to Serious Growth. You know, when I come on this show, I don't really know and have a plan as to what I'm going to talk about. I just don't work that way. My brain doesn't work that way. And I got to tell you something. I am fucking exhausted today. Now, that may sound like I'm a whiny little bitch, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I didn't finish the sentence and telling you it doesn't matter. You know why? Because I have serious growth mentality. What is serious growth? Well, I can tell you this. I don't have a problem boasting, but in this case, I'm not. I promise you that. Serious growth. It is an ideology for sure, and the reason why I say it's an ideology is because, you know, being in this industry 40 years, I can tell you that our serious growth training products, it changed the way it changed the culture of training. I'm not just saying that. I mean, after 40 years, we still have diehard serious growthers out there. I mean, it's amazing. You know, I keep talking about, and I'm gonna talk about stuff over and over again to the point where you might get nauseated, but I don't give a damn. Go throw up, come back, and keep talking to me. This whole thing, serious growth, this bodybuilding thing, it's a marathon. It's mind-numbing. I've talked about that before, but it's really important to keep refreshing your memory. And that goes back to, like, I'm exhausted today. So what? So what? You know what I've learned when I'm really tired and exhausted? I get some of the best fucking workouts that I've ever gotten. Legit. And it was the same this morning. And the reason why I'm up is because I'm excited. You know, I can't wait to get to work the next morning. How many of you can say that? If you can, you're as lucky as I am. Because I can say that. I got a lot of stuff going on and developing, you know, more training content for you guys out there, serious growthers. And it wakes me up late in the morning. I mean, I was up at midnight last night, 12:30, can't go to sleep. You know, but it doesn't bother me. You know why? Because I think, oh man, this is going to be a great opportunity. I'm going to go to the gym today, tired as hell. I'm going to get one of the best workouts that I've gotten. And it sure as hell happened again. So serious growth is an ideology. It's a movement. It's something that changed the industry in the way they train. And it's a movement. So it is an ideology. That ideology is built on 6 principles. We've talked about that before. You cannot have an ideology if you don't have principles. Principles, basically, in this case, would be building a foundation. You're only as strong as your foundation to begin with, and obviously, when you're training, you're only as strong, or you're only as, you know, in this case, as bodybuilders, it's not about being strong, really, aesthetically pleasing as your weak link. So you're only as good and only as complete as your weak link. That makes sense. Which is another damn story, because you know what? It's pretty easy to go into the gym and train the show muscles or the muscles that respond when you just blow on them. It seems like, and then you have other muscles that no matter if you point a gun at them, fuckers won't grow. That's really interesting. I mean, you talk about having a strong mindset. And for those of you who really aren't serious growthers, you have no idea. You know, we talk about hard gainers. Fuck that. We're all hard gainers. It's all relative. If it was easy, more people would be doing it. So that's fine with me. That's more or less people in the gym crowding the place and doing nothing really. But yeah, we're all hard gainers. So that's just the way it is. That's part of the attraction, I think. I mean, hell, that's the reason why I got into the sport anyway. because it's so damn hard. I could tell it was going to be hard. You know, when you consider that you're going against your physiology and what it wants to do, you're going against Mother Nature. You don't win a lot of times when you're dealing with Mother Nature. It's hard to fool her. It's an old saying. I'm sure a lot of you know that. But that's the reason why I got into this, into serious growth and into this side of it. It's extreme behavior, man. It's not normal. Love it. I love it. I love that shit. I love when I get my ass handed to me in the gym, especially when I hand it to myself. How sick is that? That's serious growth ideology, baby. Okay, so let's talk about, I've got so some people asking some questions out there, and I want to continue to urge everybody to ask questions. Don't hesitate and ever think that the question that you may ask is not relevant or it's a dumb question. No, they're all fabulous questions. We had one person that was talking about, they were on the serious growth. It's the pre-workout. And by the way, that pre-workout is a product that was, those are the ingredients that you see in there. There are 4 ingredients. And, you know, I like to test everything firsthand before I go out and, you know, have other people do that. Because firsthand experience is the best. It's true knowledge. That's why. I wish more people in the industry would do that. You know, I still care about shit, about, you know, getting and giving good information. And you can't unless you do it yourself. So that product is based on time tested and time, you know, to see how it works. And of course, the pre-workout, as most of you know, it's to enhance your training, to give you that boost. So somebody wrote in that they said, you know, they were feeling a tingling sensation. And it just so happened, this is what they wrote. They said they were feeling this tingling sensation while they were working out. And they said that they threw their back out. And to put some context to this, I believe, Kara, am I talking right when I say this person that wrote in, they had a back condition, like a pre-existing, yeah. So they had a pre-existing back condition. So let's just put that in context, first of all. But it's like, the point is, he thought that maybe the product had something to do with his back going out. And you know what? Good question. And so here's what I want to explain to you. I already wrote that guy, but to the rest of you out there that might be thinking, well, is it possible? Actually, it's not. It's not possible. First of all, it was beta-alanine, which is the product that he was referring. And for those of you that have taken that product before, you know that it gives you like pins and needles. It's kind of a little bit like paresthesia. You can look that up. But it's like tingling, numbing. It's a weird sensation. But here's what it is. It's a non-essential amino acid. Beta-alanine is a non-essential amino acid, which simply means that your body doesn't need you to supplement it from an outside source, like in a supplement, because it makes it on its own. And the whole point of beta-alanine is to enhance and increase your muscle endurance, so you can do more work in the gym. That's all that beta-alanine does. The funny thing is, you know, because there's always a reason for stuff, it seems like, but even like the experts that are out there, doctors, they really don't understand why this non-essential amino acid creates that tingling sensation, other than it seems like it has something to do with the way that the beta-alanine engages with your receptors that you have on your body. And most of you know that you have all kinds of receptors. So that makes sense that something can happen like that, because, you know, your receptors are constantly signaling, you know, to the rest of your body. It's the receptors are just a way to keep your body in homeostasis. So that's kind of the job of that receptor. So if they find that there's something going on in your body, they'll pick the necessary growth factor, which is nothing more than a small sequence of amino acids. It's protein, okay? And it just uses those various growth factors to go to different parts of your body because of what that growth, that receptor site basically said. I'm trying to say this maybe in layman terms. I don't know if I'm doing a good job. So anyway, that's what's going on with that. So it has nothing to do in this case with having the ability to throw somebody's back out. Okay, it's just it doesn't do that. It's not a foreign object to the body, so the body's not. I guess my first thought was like, okay, maybe your body rejected it. No, your body produces it on its own. So that the beta alanine is very familiar. The body is very familiar to that when that's secreted into your body. So good question, but nope, it has nothing to do with that. Non-essential amino acid. The tingling, it's tickling the nerve endings. Part of the reason why I put that in there, besides the fact that it's a muscle performance or it creates muscle endurance for better performance, is that I like it when I feel stuff. I know the stuff is working even if I don't feel it. Okay, let's just be clear. But I like it better when I feel the tingling and I just feel like it's working. Is it really working that much better because it's tingling? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, that's it on the beta alanine. The other question that we got was somebody was asking about when you're doing serious growth, should you do cardio? And good question. I always go back to anytime, for those of you who are out there listening, if you ever are wondering about why or when you should do something, no matter what it is, it's my belief that what you should do is ask the question, what are you doing it for? What is your stated goal? You'll hear me say that often. What is the stated goal when you're asking this kind of a question? So again, it's a good question. So my question to that person would be, and he did give me some information as far as he needed to drop weight. So it sounds like he's a bit overweight, and he's wondering, how and when cardio should be implemented. My first question to him to ask himself is, what's the most important result that you want from your overall training? Do you want to add muscle? Do you want to burn body fat? Do you want to get the weight off, or do you want to add muscle? And the reason why we ask that question, it's because because of the way that your body functions, you need to be specific in what you want to do. All right, let's take a quick break so I can tell you about our product.
Do you want a bone-crushing grip? Good, because you're gonna get one with the amazing new TRS gripper. It's a progressive grip builder with longer handles and a special ergonomic design that's like a dozen hand grippers in one. Start off easy and work your way up to quickly build your grip strength from wet noodle to pulverizing. The package includes a video from the world-famous strength coach, Dr. Russ Horine, the man who worked with Leo Costa to help bring you big beyond belief in the Bulgarian Power Burst. Dr. Horine shows you a simple and easy to follow workout plan that takes just minutes a day right from in front of your TV set if you want. So click on the link below and let's get started building you a stronger, firmer, bone-crushing grip.
Because I've had too many times where people will come in and say, well, I want to put muscle, add muscle, and I want to take off body fat, I want to get leaner, all at the same time. Listen, it's not that your body can't do that, but that is multitasking, and as fantastic as our physiology is, it'll do that, and that's okay. If you're not interested in doing it in the most efficient way, all I can do is educate you and tell you, yeah, you can do that, but it's not the most efficient way to do that. Listen, you may be okay with that, and that's okay. Like I said, you have to understand all the information so you can make a better decision. It's like I had somebody one time, they said, I really love running, and can I do that while I'm bodybuilding for a show? I said, well, you can, but I said, but the running is high impact, and it poses a problem in that it's going to burn extra lean weight. And I don't know about you guys that are out there. It's so damn hard to put on muscle that I don't want to sacrifice not one bit of lean weight. So my answer to that would be, oh, hell no, I'm not going to run. Walking, okay, and even walking. And walking's low impact, but I'm like that person that says, I don't want to chance anything like that. So I'm just going to do a bike where I'm not even walking. I'm bearing weight for my body to have to work. I don't want to take that chance. You see where I'm going with this thing. And so ask the question, what's the most important thing? And if the guy comes back and says to me, because I don't know what his answer is, we just got that today. So if the guy comes back and says, well, and the thing about this, when you're a trainer, for those of you that are helping people with programs out there, because I do that too online, I help people like that. And when you're a trainer like that, then you need to make sure that you make them understand the things that I'm telling you. It's like, okay, if you're wanting to put on muscle, what I guess I was going to say is when you're a trainer listening to your client, when you're asking the question, as a trainer, I'm a fact finder first. I need to fact find what it is that you really want. I'm not just talking, because what happens a lot of times with just human beings is they talk and they really don't listen as well as they talk. We like to hear ourselves, their own voice. I love my voice. I like to hear myself talk, like most people. To learn how to really listen, I think, is almost like a discipline. I'm always having to put the bit in my mouth to shut up and just listen. And I think that's important. It's been something that I've learned as a trainer, and I had to, for the simple reason that when I'm advising somebody, I'm a problem solver in this case for this guy, or a trainer for their client. So I have to ask the right questions. So I'm fact finding to ask the right questions, because why? Because I need to be able to solve the problem for that person immediately. Because what does that do as a trainer? What does that do to your credibility when you're able to listen to the problem or what his goals are, and to be able to, on the spot, on the fly, come up with a solution, a game plan, a strategy? It's huge, man, because it lets that person know, because so much of this is in mind. And when you get in people's heads, when you get in your own head in a good way, you can do incredible things. When you get in your head in a negative way, it destroys you. Same thing for the person that perhaps that you're advising. I know I'm being long-winded on this, but I just think that stuff is important. So with this guy, if he comes and tells me, well, and listen to the order in which they tell you what they want. That's hugely important, because most people don't really understand that how and what they're telling you. When you ask that question, what's the most important thing? Listen to what they say, but also pay attention to the order in which they say what they want, because that's exactly what they want. Now, they may be aware of that. Most people aren't. But that's where you pick up and say, okay, I know exactly what this person wants. Even though, for example, if that guy said, well, I want to drop body fat and then add muscle and create endurance. And if I told him, well, then this is what you have to do, he might not agree with that, because he wants to do all these things at one time. So it's your job to make sure that you get that person started and say, look, you want to put muscle on first, even though you want to drop all this weight. The dropping the weight is a secondary focus in the overall scheme of things as we set up your program. Training comes first, because you want to put on muscle. Body fat, you'll get some body fat loss because your composition is going to change from just doing the weight training. And I'm not saying not to address the weight issue, but it's not something that I'm doing as a primary focus, because that's a very different strategy. If you want to drop weight first and faster, more than you want to add muscle, I'm going to have you on a totally different nutritional strategy to get that off. Think about that now, that order. So I'm focusing on getting your body fat off, and then the weight training is going to be a part of that, because there are three components in every program. It doesn't matter if it's a bodybuilding program, with a strength athlete. It doesn't matter. Those components are always present, always. And just a matter of tailoring it to that person's, direct needs or being very specific to goal. And so it's, the most important part, the number one body part that you have is the main focus. The other ones are playing a supporting role. So in this case, I would just tell the guy, well, okay, you want to put muscle on first based on what you told me, even though you think you want to take fat off in your head. So I set him up with that, but I tell him why. And this is how you can get people to buy into what you're saying. I mean, we all have to buy into that. And when I'm starting a new program, because I'm constantly evolving with my training, even to this day, I'm coming up with new training content, and it's tough to incorporate and interject that when I have, like, over the years, 40 years, programs that are, they're not all the same, but they're kind of the same, but a little bit different. So to add new content all the time, constantly changing at some point, it's a difficult thing. Change is just very difficult. But when I understand it on a level where it's science-based, then it makes more sense to me. I can buy into that because I know that this is how my physiology works. And it's about asking maybe the question in a different way. If I told you, sir, because you're wanting to lose fat, but I can't be aggressive, sir, because your number one goal is put on muscle. But when I tell you that, if I told you that I'm compromising your overall workout to try to put muscle and lose fat at the same time, and your number one goal is putting on muscle, why would you want to do that? You're sabotaging yourself. That puts it into a different perspective as far as I'm concerned. And that makes a difference, I guess, is the long and short of all this thing, is that makes a difference. So for that person that answered the question, if it's more important for you to take body fat off than to put on muscle, you need to be more aggressive with your cardio program, and just make sure with your weight training that the purpose of that is to minimize muscle wasting, because you're going to. It's just, in the best case scenario, when you're focusing on, when you're pre-contesting and you're trying to minimize lean weight loss, you're going to lose it. Generally, you're going to lose every 4 pounds, you're going to lose 1 pound of muscle. It's brutal, but that's kind of the way it is. And that's in the best scenario. So anyway, those are the two questions that were asked. And like I said, I encourage you guys to keep on sending us questions so other people can benefit. Part of I asked myself, how can I be relative in an industry and still relate, even though that I'm at this age and I've been in it for 1,000 years, I still want to be relevant. And I think that we all have to ask that question, especially if you're that person that is interested in getting serious growth. So, change is a constant. There's no doubt about it. And change is necessary, but it can kill results. And this is, when I say that, it has to do with the difference between a CrossFitter and a bodybuilder. CrossFitters change their program so often that they really don't know how to put on muscle efficiently. They're wiry strong. I'm not knocking that program, but I'm always my number one goal. Read the sign behind me, serious growth. That's my number one goal. It's been to get serious growth and to put on as much muscle as insanely possible from the day that we started in 1982. It's always been that. So I'm always focused on that. And if you're not as focused on that as I am, well, don't be surprised if you don't get the exact gains that you want, because it's a game of inches, and the closer you get to being at the top, there's less room for making errors. And I'm always talking in that vein, in that sort of environment. It's too damn much hard work to mess up. And yet there's a certain process there. My job, from when I started to what it is now, will always be the same, is to care about the little shit. I obsess over the small things, about not doing 30 minutes of cardio, and I'm supposed to do 30 minutes of cardio and I get off in 25. I obsess over things like that because I know that it shows up somewhere else. So my job will continue to be to try to talk straight to you. It might not always be popular because I've gone against the grain pretty much for the 40 years, but not for the sake of it. It's to make you think and to always feel good about the fact that I can prove the stuff that I'm talking about in science, how your physiology works. It's not just made up stuff. And yet I can tell you that being inside the lab, the gym, for this amount of years, you find new stuff, new things that really do work. I mean, I'm 40 years into it, I find new stuff that still works, which is very cool. That doesn't happen unless you're willing to put up a change and to work through that and to realize there's a process and there's a learning curve. I'm just here to try to shorten that learning curve. So hopefully I've done that. That's my segment for today. Please, again, send some information along the way as to if you have any breakthroughs in training. Let's share it. Let's not be stingy about the information. Let's share it. Let's pass it forward. Any questions that you might have, let's address it. Let's see if we can clear the misinformation or misconceptions up. That's what we're here for. All right. Until next time, get serious growth.
Thanks for listening to the Serious Growth Podcast. For more episodes like the one you just listened to, subscribe to us on your mobile podcast app and leave us a review. If you'd like to reach out, you can find us online at seriousgrowth.com. Until next time, train smart and train hard.